Experience the future of packaging and processing up close and in action. Explore groundbreaking innovations, engage with hands-on solutions, and connect with the experts transforming the industry. See how these advancements can revolutionize your products, production lines, and business. It all starts here. Don't miss out. Register today at packexpolasvegas.com/unpackedpod. You're listening to Unpacked with PMMI, where we share the latest packaging and processing industry insights, research, and innovations to help you advance your business. Hi, and welcome to another edition of Unpacked with PMMI. I'm your host, Sean Riley, and today I'm joined by Packaging World editor and fellow redhead, Matt Reynolds, who's going to share some of the trends he uncovered at Pack Expo Las Vegas and Healthcare Packaging Expo 2019. Matt, thanks for taking the time from what has been a full and hectic 3 days.
It has. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. So I guess first and foremost, what jumped out at you after 3 days of nonstop running around on the floor as something that, you're taking away from the show as, a popping trend?
Well, I think it was leading up to the show, in fact, that it was just last week or 2 weeks ago that San Francisco Airport banned PET single-use bottles, which is potentially just a drop in the bucket, but it's also potentially a linchpin, or it could be seen as the first domino to fall for airports and single-use plastic. So single-use plastic, as we all know, is kind of under the gun right now. So extrapolating that to the show floor, what I saw were a lot of pouch manufacturers, both OEMs that are running pouches, stand-up pouches, pillow bag, Doi style, these kinds of pouches, also any kind of flexible pouches. Now, historically, pouches haven't been recyclable because they're multi-layers. Food requires oxygen barrier, or it requires a light sensitivity barrier. So you have multiple layers of film, multiple layers of possibly foil. So you can't throw it into a general single recycling stream. But there have been monolayer possibilities. The problem was it was almost the only game in town was polypropylene. Polyethylene, which is PE, is available as well, but it was always much more difficult to machine, much more temperamental. It doesn't stretch easily, or it stretches too much and tears. So one thing I noticed several places on the show floor, but one in particular that I'll talk about, was 100% PE pouches, mostly for snacks and food.
Okay.
Now, this was a collaboration. The one that I spoke to was a collaboration between the OEM Mess Pack, which is a Durvant company, material supplier Dow, and the converter TC Transcontinental. And they put together a system that includes a gentle handling machine to gently handle PE, 100% PE pouches, and also a more forgiving polyethylene. So this is 100% PE pouch style bags.
And that's, as you kind of alluded to and kind of said, that the bigger problem beyond the stability and the layers from a recyclability standpoint, from an OEM standpoint, if you have an existing machine, you can't necessarily run that material on the machine, correct?
That can be a problem. And actually, I spoke specifically to Paul Irvin about this. He had, at his booth, he had several machines that he was experimenting with materials all the way to really temperamental materials like biopolymers and these sorts of things. He had a few examples in his booth. And sure, I suppose there's ways to retrofit existing machines to handle these new, whether it's in new PE or biopolymers, or even some sorts of wood fiber-based, paper-based films. But he fully admitted and was on board saying this is new to us. We don't exactly know where this is going, but we have to be sure that our machines going forward are capable of handling a whole array of materials that we might not even know about yet.
Right.
And for the OEM to stay in close contact with the converters and with the materials suppliers to know what's going to be coming down the pike in terms of what is going to be a recyclable or have some sort of functional layers within the material down the road.
So that hits which we hear constantly or read constantly, and we talk about on the podcast all the time. It's basically the collaboration and the partnership has to start at the very beginning and go all the way through from kind of soup to nuts when it comes to
Yeah.
new packages and stuff like that with the OEM.
Yeah, it's a value chain proposition because it's going everywhere from the flake material down to the type. I mean, it includes the brand owner too, because it depends. Whatever I'm sitting in front of me right now is a bag of granola. Now, if that granola used honey as a humectant or something like that, or a certain type of sugar or volume of sugar, that could alter the functionality of a biopolymer bag or how long it's going to last on a shelf. So it goes downstream from the OEM, and it also goes upstream to the material suppliers. It's the partnership that needs.
And then at some point, the retailers are going to be involved as well, right?
Of course. Well, the retailer. I mean, first of all, there's retailing in terms of how long it's just going to be inventoried and sit on a shelf, and that's specific to biopolymers. But then also consider inventorying food at fulfillment centers and distribution centers for e-commerce as well, and that adds a whole extra element of danger for the pouches, because there's so many touches in e-commerce that they need to really withstand getting all the way from that fulfillment, getting from the brand owner, manufacturer, or co-packer to a distribution center, possibly inventory for a whole who knows how long, and then handling by materials handling, by conveyance, by robotics, who knows what, pick and place, and then get just the amount of touches in e-commerce requires a much stronger, more robust material. So that's another thing to consider. Right.
Now, you kicked this off talking about the San Francisco with the airport, and this is actually a question that I'm just curious about myself. Do you see any of these solutions that are able to be used for beverages or water? Because I know I've seen pouches for water, but I'm assuming that they're not these style of pouches. Or is there going to be some? What's the solution then if you can't have the plastic bottles?
Well, if you ask Coke or Pepsi, and their brands for water are Aquafina and Dasani, one or the other, I don't remember which was which, but they are increasingly going towards, of all things, aluminum, which is an extremely lightweight material. And the beauty of aluminum is you don't have any degradation after recycling. So you recycle an aluminum can, and post-consumer aluminum is going to behave exactly the same as virgin aluminum. So there's no degradation in cycles. You also have some properties, lightweight. It's lightweight compared to other materials, and actually water chills faster, so you don't have to use as much energy in terms of refrigeration. I think that's probably a tertiary benefit. But increasingly, we're going to see both cans and water bottles next year coming out in 2020 from Coke and Pepsi. So that's one direction they're going. There's some niftier ones too, and I didn't see this on the show floor, but I'm aware of it. Something called drop water. And anybody who's interested, here's a shameless plug. I'll be writing about this in my leadoff column in the October issue of Packaging World. But drop water is a system. It's a vending machine system where paperboard or paper flat structural paper bottles are delivered stackable, so they're nested. So there's 600 or 800 can fit in a very small space compared to an aluminum can, which is not stackable. So an aluminum can, you're basically shipping air that's within. These are stackable. So within this is, I don't remember the material, but it's a compostable polymer, biodegradable or compost. I think you have to say compostable in California. You have to walk a narrow line there. But the water is actually filled. It's tap water at the location that's filtered at the location, again within this vending machine setting. And you can add flavorings. You can add a certain amount of caffeine. They have recommended amounts so you don't go overboard. And then basically it's filtered, filled, and closed, capped and closed on site. So travelers going through an airport basically can pick something up and drop it off, and it's all completely compostable. But it's designed to be used with that day, because you can't put that in your bag and forget about it, because a week later, the degradation that you had alluded to before will occur, and that water just leaks right out.
That's really interesting. Okay, then let's get back to, things that you came across that, piqued your interest, whether they're new, whether it's trending, whether it's something you've heard about. What else you got?
Well, I think just getting back to where I started with bags, with pouches and polymers being used, another thing I saw, backing up a little bit, we hear a lot about durable products, durable packages, recyclability, being cycle and cycle and cycle. Loop is an example of a durable package. There's another similar system. It's RecycleWise, I believe. But there was an actual commercialized project, and it was a material developed by Berry Plastics and a slider, basically a slider zipper from FreshLock. The Berry Plastics was an HDPE bag. FreshLock did a LDPE slider for what's called bare naked granola. Now, this is a multi-layer, so it's not a mono material, so it cannot be recycled in the way that we normally would, our typical recycling stream. But increasingly, using this circular economy type of model, we're finding that there's a system in place to be able to recycle at the store. So basically, you use whatever granola for the week, your allotted granola
Right.
for the week or month or whatever
Exactly.
it might be. But then when you're returning to the store, you return with the actual empty bag. And that, again, is an example of the circular economy. And it was cool to see an actual commercialized project right here on the show floor. I think it was debuted here at Pack Expo, Las Vegas.
I think that part of that may have actually won one of the Technology Excellence Awards. Is that possible?
It is. I was on the committee determining the finalists, and I believe I saw that one. So I tried to give it a nudge.
Yeah, I know that I'm almost positive it actually did bring home an award for. So you bring the granola home, you eat it, and you bring the bag back and you refill it, or they dispose of it?
They dispose of it.
Okay.
So the bag goes back into some sort of advanced recycling. Basically, the recycling, we have the capability to recycle multi-layers, but our existing infrastructure of MRFs, which are recycling facilities, don't have the advanced. They don't have the capability to be doing that at this moment. We're not ready for it.
Right.
So, but in these specific programs, again, this is like how to recycle. They are able to take multi-layer materials and put them through specialized recycling programs that are designated for the brand rather than for a general public recycling stream.
Okay, so it's a start. It's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, a lot of this, I mean, that they're all different routes to the same end goal, and it's still a long distance to the end goal, but the important thing is people are stepping that direction.
Yeah, and it's always been sustainability and recyclability, but the problem necessarily isn't that people aren't willing to do it. It's that once they have it all together, where is it going that it's actually taking place? And this is at least giving them an outlet where bring the bag home, use the food, bring it back, and they'll take care of it. So what else you got?
One other thing, in the same vein, recyclability and so on, and again with the recent bans on single-use plastics, single-use polymers, I noticed, and this is one thing I wasn't expecting, was I saw a lot of paperboard can handles. So two companies were doing this, but to explain a paperboard can handle, imagine what used to be 30 years ago a six-pack of whether it's beer or Coke or whatever it is, had those little plastic rings, basically. There have been improvements on those. HDPE is a very popular one, and a lot of brands are using them to great effect right now, and they should continue to. But interestingly, I saw more of these can handle styles, 6-packs, 12-packs, any format is really available in paperboard. And one company that's doing it is Graphic Packaging, where they have an entire system with a machine that's called KeelClip 1600. And this company, Graphic Packaging, provides both the machine and they act as the paperboard converter. So basically, the application machine can do any sorts of formats, and you have a flat billboard surface on the top, so you can get printed paperboard. So if you've got a good story to tell with your beer or your, I don't know, whatever it might be, tea, kombucha, whatever it might be,
right,
then you can tell that story, and a totally recyclable, it's paper, it's paperboard, the alternative to any kind of polymer can handle. Westrock is doing this as well. Just they're taking the minimal approach and just doing as small as possible of a can handle with a small, I believe it's a tabletop at the moment machine that applies 6-pack can handles, again, in paperboard instead of polymer.
But that can also keep up consistency with the brands in a 12-pack or a case that has the same amount of space. Now you're just condensing that and putting it on top.
Exactly.
We might have time for one more if you have it.
Another thing, again, same theme, sustainability and the environment and being good stewards to the earth. Clearfold is now supplying its clear folding plastic cartons that are now fully made from 100% recycled post-consumer PET. Until now, only 30% of our PET had been the limit in these kinds of things.
Just for those that don't know, what's the? I know you say previously 30% had been the limit for recycled post-consumer PET. Could you explain that just for the?
Yeah. So virgin PET, originally everything was 100% virgin PET, and recycled PET in general was not used because it's mixed with other PET. You have some problems with clarity. You get this kind of opaque color. So instead of doing nothing and doing all strictly 100% PET, some brands and some converters would end up using some smaller percentage of PET. Okay. So it would be 30% would be the max PET, rPET or recycled PET, post-consumer PET, and the other 70% in that bottle would be virgin PET. So going from 30% to having to create fresh 70% virgin PET to 100% post-consumer PET, that's quite a step.
Yes, it absolutely is, and that's a ton of good recyclability solutions, which obviously, like I said earlier, and you said earlier, it's something that keeps being talked about over and over again every year, but we're starting to finally see some real results.
Yeah, the winds are blowing in that direction for sure.
Awesome. I would like to once again thank you, Matt, for taking some time for this. You'll probably be hearing from Matt again on the podcast to talk about some of the latest trends in packaging. I'd like to thank you for listening to Unpacked with PMMI. Be sure to join us next time for more packaging and processing industry insights. Please rate, review, and subscribe. To do that, go to the iTunes podcast or Spotify app on your phone and search for Unpacked with PMMI.